Afternoon, ladies and gents, and I hope you're all well. You join me in East Ham, just opposite East Ham Central Park, the Great War Memorial and that, and there's some tablets there to VC winners, so if you're ever in the area, or if ever you're in the area, pop in and have a look. But yeah, what you're looking at now is called Annika House, but not too many years ago there was a pub here. That pub was built in the 1960s or 50s, 60s to replace what was blown away in the war. But that pub, before the war, it had a really prestigious and interesting history. A lot of famous people stayed at that one. Monarchs, Charlie Chaplin, Winston Churchill. I mean, George III was one of the monarchs that stayed there. Charlie Chaplin stayed there as well. So, yeah, it may not look much now. It's a pretty bland looking building, shall we say, quite newly up. But yeah, I'm going to take you off into the history of one of London's lost pubs, one of the old travelling inns. So join me for the history of this one. The White Horse pub, as we all knew and loved it. I drank in this one a couple of times myself, and this is how many of us will remember the White Horse. But it's got an interesting history, this one. So I wanted to start off with the image that most of us will most remember, and then work our way back in the past from there. The White Horse Hotel, as it originally was built in 1769 for John Charrington, a brewer and businessman who owned several pubs in London. The hotel was named after the white horse that Charrington used to ride around his properties. The hotel was designed by Robert Adam, a famous Scottish architect who also worked on Buckingham Palace and Kedleston Hall. Here we see it by the 1870s. The hotel had 3 stories and a basement with a large courtyard in front of it. The hotel had 40 rooms, each with its own fireplace and window. The hotel also had a dining room, a ballroom, a billiard room and a bar. The hotel was decorated with paintings, sculptures, chandeliers and mirrors. It underwent large renovations in the latter 19th century with a big extension, rebuild and remodelling, which gives us here what we see. 1902. The hotel attracted many guests from different walks of life, such as merchants, travellers, artists, politicians and even royalty. Some of the notable guests who stayed at the hotel were King George III in 1789, Lord Nelson in 1801, Charles Dickens in 1836, Queen Victoria in 1843, Winston Churchill in 1908 and Charlie Chaplin in 1914, which takes us to this 1920s image, which is near enough of the era that Chaplin would have stayed and remembered this pub. However, the hotel's fate changed forever during World War II, when it became a victim of Nazi Germany's aerial attacks. It was a victim twice in 4 days of Hitler's flying bombs. The first bomb fell on June the 23rd, 1944, in nearby Flanders Road. 6 people were killed, 6 seriously injured, and many more injured. 2,135 homes were damaged, over 100 of them being either demolished or completely wrecked. The first bomb also did the great damage to Charrington's White Horse. Men during temporary repairs to the hotel 3 days later, when at 4 o'clock in the afternoon the second flying bomb exploded at the back. 9 were killed in the incident and 15 seriously injured. 1,765 homes were either ruined or damaged. The World War II photo that we see here, showing the bomb damage to the White Horse, is from a collection of newspaper magazine articles published in England during World War II. and which sadly shows the destruction of the old White Horse pub. The pub was rebuilt in the post-war era, 1950s/60s, and simply called the White Horse, which was the pub that many of us knew and remembered. The pub permanently closed its doors in 2015. But we're getting to the era of how many of us remember the White Horse. It's another big one that the football fans all went to on the West Ham games. As I say, it permanently closed its doors in 2015 and was demolished in 2017 and replaced with the much of a muchness apartment flats that we see today, and what we left off in my little bit of filming. And here is a glimpse of it just once again for anyone that may have forgotten. So yeah, that's the East Ham Central Park and the history of the White Horse pub all in one. Hope you all found this interesting. I will do a separate piece on the pub, of course, in my Lost Pubs of London, but I wanted to include the park, the fun fair, and thought I'd have a little delve into a little bit of history while we was there. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed. Take care. See you on the next one.